Hi, welcome to my second YouTube video, second of a series where I'm making one video per month on a little electronics project. Unfortunately this one's a little bit late, sorry about that. Had a workshop that I prepare for. So last time you might remember I did a project on a automatic nightlight that comes on in the evening and then switches off late at night just before I go to sleep, so that it encourages me to go to sleep at a certain time. It's helping, but it isn't perfectly fix the problem. I'm still not going to bed as early as I like, but that's a whole nother issue. So this time I am not so much doing a project, it's a showcase of a new microcontroller board that is very recent. It is called the MadMachine. It's a unique board in that it runs Apple's Swift programming language. So you write Swift on your computer on Windows or Mac, and it compiles it on your computer and then uploads it to the board, and runs the little compiled binary. I don't think there are any other boards out there quite like this. So good for people who really like programming in Swift. For those who don't know, Swift is the newest programming language from Apple. It offers better type safety, security and performance, which is another way of saying it's a more modern language with modern features that make it more robust and scalable. There are a few other languages popping up like Kotlin and Rust and some JVM languages that offer similar features. Apple's decided to do their own, and I haven't really touched Swift until I got this board, and I've picked it up fairly quickly, as I do with my programming languages, and it's been an interesting experience. I'll talk more about that later. So the board itself has a IMX RT1052 crossover processor with ARM Cortex M7 core, which runs at 600 MHz. So here it is here, if you can see it. 600 MHz, which is fairly powerful for a little board. Not the first that has had processors this powerful. Another one has been the Teensy. But this one also has 256 megabytes of RAM, which is an interesting thing to put on a board, a microcontroller board. Offers some new applications. One of the applications that I've heard talked about is LCD displays, displaying images, probably something like animations and touch screen stuff and fun stuff like that. That's a bit further down the track. It's very early stages now, so I can't show any examples of that yet, but I would imagine that's one of the more obvious applications for it. So it's got two micro USB ports. Would be nice to see USB-C, but oh well. It's got a download programming port and a USB serial port. Most microcontrollers I've used have combined both of that into one. I don't know why they've done two, I haven't asked, but there are some advantages, like you can download and watch the serial at the same time, I suppose. I don't know. And just about every microcontroller board I've seen runs the code off of some little flash chip on the board, or integrated flash in the microcontroller, but this one runs it off the SD card. So you download to the SD card and then reset, and it boots directly off the SD card, which is interesting. I suppose theoretically you could get it to load images and sounds and all kinds of things off the SD card as well, theoretically. So that's the board. In this video I will be showing how to do a little hello world program, get the LED to blink, the obvious first step, and I'll also show off a few different devices, a LED matrix display from Adafruit, and a ultrasonic sensor which I wrote a library for, and a servo motor controlling it with the PWM output. So enjoy the following video. So the first example will be just blinking the LED one color. First thing to do is download MadMachine, so go to madmachine.io in your web browser. This is the website, world first. I think it is. So download, I'm using Windows, alternatively use Mac. It's not that big, so it doesn't take too long. After installing it, click on the application on the desktop or your start menu, create new project. This is going to be called a Hello World project, whichever directory you wish. Next, plug in the micro SD card, and then plug the MadMachine into the download port. Now load up under Getting Started, Blink, and then on your board press the download button, and it should show up in Windows Explorer, or you should see that icon. Then click download, and this is where it takes a little while. Hopefully they can improve that. Recording this real time just to show how slow it is. And after you press reset, it should start blinking. Next project is a whole bunch of things, LED matrix, sensor, and a servo. In this code, so you can see initializing the objects, the LED matrix, the servo, and the pins for the ultrasonic sensor. I wrote the ultrasonic sensor library. I should have a link either on the YouTube or on my website. So it gets the distance. Get distance function from the ultrasonic sensor, then converts it to a percentage, which is maxed, doesn't go any higher than 30. Then it creates the pulse value, which is what it sets the servo to. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway. And for the LED matrix, that was a bit more complicated. It's using some I2C commands. It's got some built-in commands that it starts up with. So the main loop is filling a display buffer. The trick was to convert the uint8 to uint16 for filling the uint16 array, and the second loop is creating the array to be sent to I2C. It needs to create, the first element of the array is ANDed with 0xFF, and the second one is right shifted 8. It just writes it out. And there's the ultrasonic sensor library that I wrote myself. HCSR04 does a bunch of startup things, very basic. And the main interesting part is that it gets the difference in time using this cycles to nanoseconds function, which I had some issues with before, but it's working nice now, and converts it to a centimeters value using some magic numbers. And here it is in the next video. I had to use an Arduino for the 5-volt power supply because the MadMachine's 5-volt wasn't powerful enough for the servo, but as you can see, as my hand moves up and down, the servo moves left and right. And there is again LED matrix going. I did this LED matrix demo on other microcontrollers, a bit of a hello world thing. Thanks for watching this far. Hope you've learnt something about MadMachine, what it looks like and how it works. It's definitely a bit different. It's an interesting new board that has some interesting applications. And thanks Robert, who contacted me earlier in the year. He lives locally and handed me a board to make a demo project for, to showcase the MadMachine product, and I got paid to do that, which was pretty awesome. Thanks Robert, and also thanks Andy on Discord. I think Andy is one of the creators of MadMachine, or the creator, and he helped me to fix some code issues, and without his help I wouldn't have been able to fix the problems, and I wouldn't be able to do the demos that I did in this video. So yeah, he was really very friendly and communicative, and helped out a lot. So it's good that there are people I can talk to get help with it. So that's a very good thing. Speaking of Discord, there's a link below in the description to the Discord channel where you can join their server if you want to, and learn a bit more about it, particularly if you're going to buy a board. It's a fantastic resource for getting help. Andy and a few others on there will be able to help you solve problems, and you'll be the first to know of new developments, like new libraries and things. So my thoughts on the MadMachine board. The biggest issue I had by far was that it was very kind of slow to compile the code, when you're not doing that much, and it takes 30 seconds to compile or something like that. It's there's some slowness there on Windows, at least. I'm not sure what it's like on Mac. I don't have a Mac, so I can't test that, but on Windows it's quite slow. Yeah, if there's any way to speed it up, I think it would be a good idea to look into that. And the other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the 2 micro USB ports. I mean, maybe there's some logical reason to why there are 2, but just about every other microcontroller board has just one, which carries uploading code and also the serial port over one, because you can do that with the USB protocol. It can show up as multiple things with one port, but USB is a bit of a difficult beast to tackle, I've heard. So anyway, and also the editor, it's not too bad. I mean, I was using it quite happily. I can tolerate it, but I think something like Visual Studio Code would be significantly better, something people are more familiar with and all that. If you could integrate the tool chain into Visual Studio Code, that would be pretty nice. Also Linux, my inner Linux fanboy is screaming for a Linux version, because I'm sure there's some Linux users out there. And also libraries. I've previously used the Adafruit CircuitPython board, one of those, and they've done a pretty amazing job of creating a lot of different libraries for that by themselves mostly, and I'm not sure if MadMachine has the resources to do that, unfortunately, but I may have to rely on the community, so it might take a bit of time before you see some popular components ported over. Being a Swift language, there's a bit of I've noticed there's a bit of a meticulous conversion process. It's not as straightforward as C to Python. It's a little bit more involved. Yeah, and so I think it's probably a nice board to play around for people invested in the Apple ecosystem. If you have a Mac and you want to play around with a microcontroller board, it's a pretty cool one to have a look at. And also, I think something that will really showcase its power is the LCD screens, doing graphics and all kinds of things on LCDs. Will be an interesting way to set it apart from other boards. The closest comparison would be like the latest Teensy, I think it's like the 4 or something, which has also a pretty powerful processor. But this one, the advantage is you program in Swift, which can be a bit nicer to program for, so you can do all kinds of nice coding patterns, which can be a bit more fun to code for than the Teensy, which is C and C++. And so where next for me for the MadMachine? I haven't actually played around with the command line tools yet. The people on Discord are talking about them a lot, and it sounds like there are a lot of people using them. Maybe it's faster to compile with the command line tools, I don't know. I'm definitely going to have to give them a try, and also waiting for a nice LCD library to test. So I think that's one of the main features of this board is for LCD screens. So once there's a nice library for that, it'll be a cool toy to play with again. But overall, I'll probably be sticking to the Arduinos and the Teensies and CircuitPython and ESP32 and that sort of thing for now for my practical applications, because I'm most familiar with it and there's a lot of support. But I'm not ruling out MadMachine. It may have some application in the future, who knows. So yeah, that's MadMachine. My take on it. Bit of a mixed bag, but pretty neat regardless. So in my next video, I'm going to be making a plant water reminder device, which you plug a moisture sensor into a plant, and it'll send you a notification on your phone when it needs to be watered. So if it's like a particularly hot day, which we're having at the moment in Hobart, you might get a notification to water the plant, and then you can water it. I don't know, it seems like a cool idea to me. Maybe some other people out there will find some use of it. So yeah, also just a note about my last video. Thanks everyone who watched. A lot of people gave me some good feedback. Some people said it was pretty cool, and some people said I was a bit crazy to be drilling holes in plastic and putting my fingers at risk. So I've improved on that. In that department, I've got a vice now, which kind of works, and I've got these stepped drill bits, which are good for drilling holes in plastic. So my fingers are safe. So yeah, please like the video. Helps to show others that it's a cool video, and please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Like you'll you'll see my next video pop up in your feed, and click the bell icon, wherever that is, it's somewhere, and that'll give you notifications, I think, on your phone when my next video comes up, which will be in hopefully a month. It hasn't been a month so far, sorry about that. Yeah, so thanks, see you next time.